The White House has a new press secretary. Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, Jen Psaki will no longer be heard from at the White House podium. But if you still want to enjoy her unfettered Democrat, imperialist, United Statesian propaganda, you can just flick the channel and turn on MSNBC, because that's where she's going. And I think it says a lot that the White House press secretary is transitioning from the White House to MSNBC. You know, usually if you ask somebody in the street, which is more prestigious, would you like to work in the White House? You know, where the president is? To be the president's spokesperson, or at a television studio? Most people would say, I would like to work for the president, right? In the White House. It's the White House, right? That's a normal reaction because it's obviously more prestigious. And I say that as a journalist, right? So I'm not trying to insult the people in the newsroom, but I think it speaks volumes about the relationship between corporate media in the United States and the White House, especially MSNBC in this presidency, right? So here is the successor, and I'll play you a video where Jen Psaki says goodbye and she introduces her replacement. Her name is Karine Jean-Pierre. Let's take a look.
I just want to take the opportunity to celebrate and congratulate my friend, my colleague, my partner in truth, Karine Jean-Pierre, the next White House president.
Partner in truth. That's a good one.
Secretary. Now, many people in this room have known her for some time. But for anyone who does not know her, I want to provide a little bit of a primer for you, so settle in. First, as you all know, she will be the first Black woman, the first out LGBTQ plus person to serve in this role, which is amazing because representation matters, and she is going to, she will give a voice to so many and elect.
I'm going to stop it right there because you can already guess what the rest of it is. I agree with Jen, though. I really do agree. I do think representation matters, but I don't think we agree on the meaning of the word representation. Because in their minds, it's like, oh, look, we put a black person in charge of the press secretary office, right? So we're going to have a black person who's also, I think, as she said, she's a member of the LGBTQ plus community as the White House press secretary. And you might be going, well, that's great, right? Because that's indicating coexistence, tolerance, diversity, and so on. And that's, but you know, by definition, it's a good thing, right? The problem is that this is Joe Biden's administration, and we know how the Democrats are, right? They're basically like Republicans, but they just lie more. And when I say they lie more, I basically mean that they're trying to keep up appearances, but it really comes off as tacky, right? So they're the same policies as the Republicans, the exact same stuff, but they pretend to care about minorities with this stuff, with this tokenism. So in the Pentagon, Joe Biden's defense secretary, who's running the Pentagon, is a black man, right? It's Lloyd Austin. Now, there are two very interesting things about Lloyd Austin. The day he got the job as defense secretary, he resigned as a board member at Raytheon. Do you want to take a guess what Raytheon produce? Do they make toilet brushes? Do they make squeaky ducks? Do they make computers? No, they make weapons, bombs, right? So he has a profit incentive. It is literally in his interests financially to make war and to prolong war. So there's already a huge conflict of interest there. And of course, I don't need to tell you what kind of irony that is. You have a black man in charge of the Pentagon, in charge of bombing other black people and brown people and, you know, people in the global south. So that's the kind of diversity and representation that they mean. Yeah. So instead of having a white person lie to you at the White House podium, you're going to have a black queer person lying to you. Wow. Great. You know, I love my propaganda a little bit diverse. Here's another example. The Treasury in the United States is the body that imposes sanctions on other countries. And inside the Treasury, you have something called the OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Assets Control. Okay. Now, thank God that when Joe Biden became president, he not only kept the same sanctions that Donald Trump imposed on Syria, on Venezuela, on Iran as part of his maximum pressure campaign. Sounds very friendly. But he put a woman in charge. So thank God for that. That makes the sanctions a lot better. So, you know, people can starve comfortably in Syria and Iran and Venezuela, knowing that it's a woman starving them. Isn't that beautiful? Her name is Janet Yellen. So this is the kind of diversity that Joe Biden brings, that Democrats bring. It's really insulting tokenism at the end of the day. I think for me personally, it has the opposite effect. It makes me angry because I know that they're lying. And they're basically just using people of color or people from minorities and it's almost like they're rubbing it in your face, right? The Republicans will just straight up come to you and say, we hate you. And these guys say, no, we love you, and then do the same thing. So that's why I came up with this thing, right? With that, I guess you could call it a meme. And then Mona put it on a t-shirt. But this is basically the essence of what I'm talking about. Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition death cult, because it's still a death cult, but with a little bit of, you know, decorum and pretending to care and, oh, we're diverse. I can assure you, man, people really do not care about your diverse representation when they're being starved, when they got no food, when they're being bombed. And in that aspect, there is nothing diverse. As a matter of fact, it's a direct continuation of Trump, of Obama, of Bush. There's no difference whatsoever. I mean, I'm not even saying that in hyperbole. There is no difference between Biden's policy to Syria and Trump's policy to Syria. Doing the exact same things, right? Caesar Act sanctions, stealing the oil, continuing this idea of regime change. So again, this is just one example. You can go look at Venezuela. You can go look at Iran. I mean, the Iran deal, who knows what's happening with that? I mean, I do. It's a figure of speech, and I'll get to that in a second. But, you know, they've been dragging their feet. So if you're in Iran, you know, Joe Biden's saying he wants to get back in the Iran deal, meaning you as an Iranian, you need cancer medication, or hospitals need replacement parts for expensive machines that they can't build themselves, right? Like, these things, they're life-threatening. And Joe Biden, you know, dragging his feet isn't exactly helping you. But hey, at least we have a diverse White House. So well done. Congratulations, Jean-Pierre.